Hello and welcome to How to Win the Lottery 1997's Chris Krause's I Love Dick. Now, a television series. Somehow.
That you thought that a lot while reading, right? You were like, how did they make this book?
So I knew it was a TV series. I'm Jerry Lewandowski, that's Treads. I knew it was a TV series. And the beginning, okay, like 30 pages in, I was like, I wonder if this whole thing's going to be letters. I'm like, it feels like you might be able to, but like that also kind of seems crazy. And then like 60 pages, I'm like, oh, this whole thing's going to be letters. And then we started talking about it. I'm just like, how is this a TV show?
I don't know. Should we watch it? Do you want to watch it?
I want to watch it now out of curiosity. I don't want to watch it out of because I didn't love this.
I'm going to give you a spoiler for my. I didn't really like this book either.
I thought the first half was very enjoyable, and then the second half, I was like, I feel out of my depth or bored.
Yeah,
one or the other.
Right.
And because I know this is like in terms of like the reception, the fact that this has like a preface and an afterword, both talking about like how important this text is, I'm just like, but it feels like this is like a really important text in terms of like female writing and a lot of different things where like on the one hand I'm like, ooh, am I going to come off like bad by saying like I didn't enjoy it? But also like I didn't enjoy the second half. I thought it was boring. And I think the first half is so fun and like a crazy way to tell a story. And the second half just like, let's talk about art and what it's like to be like a Jew or a woman in New York City. And just like, what?
Yeah.
You like betray your own premise. And also like the entire, like I'm jumping a lot here.
You're jumping.
The structure of like the you're just writing letters just to like dictate like history of art, like it's like, that's not a letter anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
As you say, this is my favorite book that we've ever read.
No, I already said.
I'm kidding.
I was not wild about this book.
Did you like the first half?
Kind of. I understood the first half a little bit better in terms of what it was trying to do. But first, what are those 1997 facts?
What was the biggest movie of the year?
1997?
It came out in December, so it probably wasn't the biggest movie of the year, but it was...
Was it not Virtuosity with Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe?
I think that might have been 94. So we missed that. Virtuosity was 95.
Was it not Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone?
Also 95.
Was it not Bad Boys?
98?
Okay.
I will tell you, this movie changed its release date because it did not want to go up against Scream 2.
What? And it was the biggest movie? Didn't want to go against Scream 2 and it ended up becoming the biggest movie?
Yeah. The biggest movie, like literally of all time.
Oh. Titanic?
Yeah. Titanic rescheduled it, like went from November into December because it didn't want to go up. They're like, we might not make money up against Scream 2.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What a.
It became at the time.
I love Titanic.
It's a great movie.
Okay. I'm glad that you feel that way.
We love it.
Because I think people my age got down on Titanic because girls liked it. Right? It was one of those movies where it was like, fucking
I don't know that I liked it in the moment because I was also 9 when it came out.
Right, yeah, you were 2.
It was important to me because it was the first time I ever saw boobs.
Sure. Kate Winslet's were the first boobs you ever saw?
I was 9.
All right.
I was also very sheltered.
Yeah.
We were talking about this recently because like we watched The Holiday with Kate Winslet. We were talking about Kate Winslet movies. Yeah. And then we just watched The Family Stone. We're recording this around Christmas time. This comes out in February or something.
Yeah.
We recorded The Family Stone, which has Claire Danes, where like a lot of like Leonardo DiCaprio's like on-screen paramours or whatever. Yeah.
I think in my head of Claire Danes as being 20 years younger than Kate Winslet. I think because my experience with Claire Danes was first of her as a teenager, and my experience with Kate Winslet was first with her in Titanic, where she's not a teenager.
She's probably 25, and Claire Danes is probably 20.
Yeah.
A year before.
There's no real difference. But Kate Winslet, I was introduced to her as a married woman, and I was introduced to Claire Danes as like a 15-year-old.
As Juliet.
Yeah. No, as My So-Called Life.
Oh, so that predated Romeo plus Juliet. Titanic, released in December of 97, quickly became the highest grossing film of all time, a record held for years until Avatar, I think, dethroned it, right?
And then I think it dethroned Avatar, and then Avatar, like via re-release, I think they went back and forth a couple times.
I think the top 4, it's like Avengers Endgame, Avatar, Avatar 2, and Titanic or something, right? Yeah. Soon to be Avatar 3. Maybe it won't be. It won 11 Oscars, including Best Picture. Princess Di died in a car crash.
Yeah, Paris. which the next day I was in a hockey game and we got blown out. And when I was walking to my car at the end of the game with my parents, my mom was talking to one of the other kids' moms, and the other kid's mom posited the idea that we got blown out because we were all so distracted by the death of Princess Diana. And I was just like,
probably.
Ma'am, I'm a 14-year-old boy. I do not give a fuck about Princess Diana.
But then because of that, Candle in the Wind by Elton John became an all-time best-selling single.
Yeah, sure.
Also in music, OK Computer comes out.
Yep.
Hanson's Bop everywhere.
Wow, that's the same year as OK Computer?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Huge year for TV. 3 like all-time 90s shows come out 97. South Park, Buffy, and King of the Hill.
Okay.
Pretty big. Netflix launches as a DVD service.
Wow.
Google.com registered as a domain name. The company launches the next year.
Netflix predates Google?
I guess so.
That's really weird to think of.
Yeah.
I was an early adopter of Netflix and still Netflix discs. And we're still talking about 2003.
Yeah.
2002, 2003.
What are you talking about?
I was getting Netflix discs in 2003.
Oh, yeah.
But so
you mean like 5 or 6 years later?
So it doesn't feel like they'd been. I was one of the first people that I knew that had Netflix.
But also, like, I mean, like Amazon existed for a while as like a bookstore in Jeff Bezos' garage or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Where just like, who knows how long Netflix was just like a thing.
Yeah.
The Mars Pathfinder mission, it landed and sent back images of Mars. Not only Princess Diana died, but Mother Teresa died.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan won his 5th championship of the decade, had the flu game in 1997. Tiger Woods won the Masters at age of 21, becoming the youngest winner in tournament history, redefining golf. GoldenEye came after the Nintendo 64.
Ooh.
Tamagotchi, which we mentioned last episode, and Beanie Babies were both at their height of their peak obsession levels.
Yeah.
And then I also looked up New York City stuff because this is largely a New York novel, kind of.
You think of it as
a little bit. I mean, the back half is a New York novel.
California novel as well.
But Rudy Giuliani was in the second term. New York deep into its crime reduction era. Violent crime had dropped compared to the early 90s. And also The Lion King premiered on Broadway and transformed Broadway economics.
I worked with the guy that was Simba in the traveling production of The Lion King.
Okay.
He was a bartender at a bar that I worked at in Los Angeles. His name was Steve. He's very nice.
Cool. So I Love Dick. Seems crazy as a TV show.
I don't understand it. I don't understand who thought it would be a good idea. I almost have to watch it because I have to know what they did. Surely much of it changed.
I do think, in spite of not liking the second half, I like that at the very, very end, it suddenly shifts to third person. And it's kind of a letter back from, I think it's a chapter called Dick Writes Back.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I don't understand any of this.
Yeah.
I don't like that you violated my privacy. And also he misspells Chris's name, and I'm just like, oh, that is so mean.
And now you're going to publish a book.
Yeah.
About it.
Although we don't know, and there's like a lot of like, I think in the prelude or however it's written or the after, which I only read a little bit of, and I'm just like, I'm not going to read the rest of this. And maybe online, he is never explicitly named. It's Dick Blank.
Yeah, whatever.
And there are people like our girl Kathy Acker's in here getting orgasms from Sylvere.
My other experience with Chris Kraus is I read her biography of Kathy Acker.
Oh.
That's my other big experience with her. And I think that there's a lot to be compared here between Chris Kraus and Kathy Acker, because Kathy Acker, I think, is doing a lot of what Chris Kraus wishes she were doing in her writing.
Well, I think like what this book to me was, which I think is interesting at its core, but not explored in a way that I found compelling, is it feels like a woman in her 40s or just turning 40 and having like a midlife crisis and being like, I am no longer, or maybe never respected or thought of as cool or invited to the parties or whatever. And I think there's something really interesting about that, but it feels, I don't know. It just like the presentation of like the history of art criticism through like whatever. It just like, this is not, I find it interesting.
My problem with it is that I think it over intellectualizes what are essentially instinctual or base feelings. It's not like it's exploiting anything, but it is taking something that doesn't need to be intellectualized, like raw lust, obsession, those things. And it tries to put it through a postmodern analytical lens. And in doing so, I think you actually diminish the thing and you end up looking like a creep. I sympathized with Dick in this circumstance. I thought that if I were Dick, I would never talk to these fucking people ever again for the rest of my life.
The thing that seems so crazy is that like both the duration and the type of meeting they have, and also like the number of pages which are dedicated to that meeting, feel like almost non-existent. It's like one night they stay over. They don't sleep with him. They just stay over. And when they wake up, he's gone. And he's like, oh, I was getting breakfast stuff. And they leave. And instantly she is obsessed with him and in love with him.
And brings her husband into it.
And Sylvere feels like he is more into the fact that she is now charged with the passion. Like it feels like her passion for Dick or for whatever. Like it seems like they have an open marriage or whatever.
Because and because their sex life has diminished to this point. So
and it feels like that, like her being interested in Dick then like sort of revitalizes their sex life because she's now horny for another guy or whatever. But it feels like this is an insane reaction to one night with a guy.
Which I understand because I think that's actually the way that like passion or obsession works. You don't know necessarily what triggers it. It's a thing that happens and then you can't stop thinking about it. And most normal, sane people ultimately do stop thinking about it after spending a couple of days just being like obsessively Googling that person or looking at their Instagram or maybe DMing them. Like, I mean, this is also a different world right now. You can like refilter this book through a 2025 idea and think of what it would be like now with Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And it would be a completely.
But like what they do is they write him 90 pages of letters and call him a bunch and like he doesn't answer. Then they like sort of leave voicemails or like they don't leave voicemails because they're afraid to leave voicemails or like they leave a voicemail like, that's not enough. I need to leave another voicemail.
Yeah. And then get kind of pissed at him.
Right. Because I thought like that's what I thought was compelling where it's like I wasn't thinking about it like in terms of the DMing, but like in terms of like dating apps and stuff. It's like this person's so cool. Like, will they message me back? And then you're like thinking about them and about the future with them, but also future without them. And like all of a sudden, it's just like, no, you had like one date maybe, or like you had like a nice conversation. You're just waiting. It's like
your future tripping,
unhealthy, crazy way to live. And I thought that was compelling. And then it just keeps going. And I'm like, but it never reaches a point where it's like, it's not satire. It's just like, this is a normal thing. And it's also becoming art. It's like,
Yeah, that's I think there is this compulsion of a certain type of person to make art out of every single aspect of their lives. And right now, autofiction, like the rise of autofiction has emphasized that. And I think something like autofiction actually does have quite a debt to pay to someone like Chris Kraus, who built that stuff up, but then also to the aesthetic diminishment of it. And this is a weird thing to say because it is published by Semiotics, which is an academic press. Mm-hmm. So when you read this book, you know what you're getting into. You're not reading entertainment. You are reading something that you know is going to be about theory.
I didn't. You did.
Okay. I should have presented you with the facts.
I mean, it's fine. Like, because I kind of like going into these things like almost literally knowing nothing.
Yeah, yeah. But I think to its great aesthetic detriment, Chris Kraus is trying to filter passion, obsession through a theoretical framework.
Right.
And I think that lessens passion by trying to put it into a cultural and historical context. And not that there's not value in that, but I don't think there's that much value in that as a novel.
Right.
So that's a different thing. And the second half of the novel is almost all theory. There's very little, like,
which is very boring to me.
There's very little plot.
Yeah.
And also the second half of the novel, I don't know, like, you know, it's not really my place to call someone out on this. And Chris Kraus, DM me. I don't know. But like her frequent use of the word kike.
Yeah, it's off-putting.
It's off-putting, but it's also off-putting because she didn't know she was Jewish until she was like 21 or something. Like she like lived her entire life not as a Jew. And then certainly identifies as a Jew now, but like she's 39. This is more than half of her life she's not identifying as a Jew.
Right.
And then she's all of a sudden not only identifying as a Jew, but also using a word like that to be provocative about her own Judaism.
But also like in the not in that way, but like also being like, this is what it's like to be a Jew in New York. It's like,
yeah.
Which I thought was already like kind of a weird thing a weird turn for this book to take, but then for you to say like she spent half of her life not living that life at all, it's like
that's what it seems like. Because if you, I mean, maybe I'm misremembering this, but there is a point where she's like, when I was 20, I realized that I was Jewish, and I had this grandmother who had the last name that was obviously a Jewish last name, and I didn't. But it didn't seem like she was even aware of Judaism as part of her life until then. So then to be like, every other page referring to herself as the kike. It's just like, this is really, I think that you're doing too much with this.
Yeah.
But again, it's her identity, and I'm willing to give her some grace, but that felt like something that was unearned. Especially because obviously she's like, quote unquote, passing as a shiksa, right?
Right. Like I like what's frustrating me about the second half is like I genuinely really liked, like I was looking at Goodreads, if I gave it like 2 or 3 stars, like I really like the first half a lot because it's so weird.
Yeah.
Like it feels manic and it feels exciting and it feels like I don't know. It feels like what they're doing feels crazy, but it also feels like a keeper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, I can get that.
And
they're also in on it together, so it doesn't feel hurtful to Sylvere, which would have been uglier.
I mean, it feels hurtful to Dick, but also like he's almost so explicitly not a non-character. Like he's in, like I think I wrote it down. It's only not until page 104 that he's back, that they see him again. So like there's like half of this book where he's just like being talked about and thought about after like a single night. And so like I'm not saying that like he shouldn't be hurt, because like I mean, it's fine to be hurt or whatever, but it's like such a brief interaction they spend so much time like obsessing over, and like this is insane. Like this is a crazy thing to read. And so I really like the first half of the book. I don't know if it would be a complete thing, but like at the end of the first part where Sylvere leaves her because he's like, I don't know who you are anymore, basically.
Yeah.
That's kind of a compelling end to the story. Like just like bookended there. Like that's like a good, like 130 page or whatever, like thing. I'm into that. The next like 90 pages or whatever, I'm just like, I don't know what this is.
Which is all about like the different artists that have influenced the kind of experiment that she's doing and why.
I wrote down that it's like pivoting hard into a reflection of like maybe being a woman. It also feels like a criticism of the art scene, a reflection on being Jewish or being perceived as Jewish in the 70s and also before that. And I think I would have less of an issue. I still wouldn't like it, but if she hadn't framed it around like the Dear Dick, now I'm in the art scene or whatever. Like it feels weird. Like it feels like this is like, well, I'm writing in the story, so it has to fit that structure. And I just like, I don't get it.
I think, I mean, like I said, I think it is, she had a compelling story.
Yeah.
And then I think because she's an intellectual, and I think she is like very super smart. And I think that her criticisms of various artists and the responses to their art seem to be on point, and she seems to have smart things to say about all of this art. But like as a novel, I think it moves from being a compelling story into something that over intellectualizes something that we don't need to over intellectualize. Right. When Kathy Acker writes about the body, there's something incredibly visceral about it. There's almost nothing visceral about this book once you get past the initial obsession. You don't feel anything that Chris is feeling on a gut level, because everything that Chris is feeling gets filtered through grad school.
Right.
And that feels like a problem to me, because it's a problem with people like that in general, that they're over intellectualizing and not feeling and not experiencing the world, because there's this filter of postmodern, there's a postmodern lens that they put on stuff that moves it into a level of they're trying to make something objective, which is subjective, and through theory and stuff, dissect it in a way that makes it not compulsive, makes it into something that has a historical materialist explanation to it. And that's, I don't think, even though Kathy Acker is writing about, she's often writing through a Marxist position about the body and the exploitation of these things. It never, I don't think ever for me, journeys into where you don't feel it at a gut level. Because what she's right, when she writes about the body, you feel her pain, you feel her arousal, you feel the cuts and bruises that she has. You don't feel the interpretations of those cuts and bruises and the interpretations of the feelings that she has. The instinct to put everyone at arm's length so that you can discuss things through the filter of other artists in the scene, I think is a bad instinct.
Not to that exact point, but like in that area, maybe. She's describing a party that she's at with Sylvere, and she's talking about how like David Byrne and someone are just like playing music. And it feels like initially like, oh, that must be cool. But then she's like, it's presented in a way just like, it's not even like, she's not impressed by it. She's not over it. She's just like saying this is a thing. And it feels like, again, that kind of like removal of like how she feels about it and just putting it on us to like, how do you want to react to this? It's like, well, I don't, because like, it's like, she doesn't describe too many parties. She describes the things that she's met with Dick, where it's like a dinner party or whatever. And then she talks about this entirely different thing, like a New York thing where she's like, it's all just like a bunch of like art scene, which sort of feels insufferable, but she's also like, it's also kind of cool, but it's like, she's not saying that. It's like a weird, like, I don't know how to think about that.
Well, okay. So here, this is like a good point. It's like, you're part of this world. Tell us what you like about this world.
Right.
Why are you in this world?
Right. The impression I got was that she likes being in this world because she likes being invited to the party. Yeah, I don't think she wants to be at the party, but I think she wants to be invited to the party. Yeah. And I think that when she goes to that party where David Byrne is there, or he's just like playing piano or whatever, I think like what stood out to me is that she's like, I was not on the list. I was like somebody's plus one. Like I used to be invited to this party. Now I'm not invited to this party anymore. And I think what I found, what could have been really interesting, and I think what really, like there's like moments of this that really like worked, is that I feel like the midlife crisis, at least in like pop culture or like the definition of it, like feels like such a masculine thing. Like guys buy sports cars. They like get divorced and marry like a 24-year-old or date a 24-year-old or whatever. I feel like there's so few examples of like what a woman's midlife crisis is. Right. And I feel like this could have been that. But instead of being like, this is how I felt, and like why I felt like I was going crazy or whatever, just like, let me talk about whatever. And it's just like this, like what she's living through is something that I have rarely, if ever, seen before. And she's like tiptoeing up to it and being like, but instead of talking about like this, let's talk about like the culture of the time.
Well, okay. So I think I'm not going to excuse the novel for this because I think that she should have been an artist that pushed. But like, I think that there is an argument to be made, like among what you're saying, that yeah, the female midlife crisis is something that we never, ever, ever talk about. And there is a reason then why she is over intellectualizing it. And it is because there's probably an inherent fear of speaking about that honestly because of its dismissal, because of how eagerly people would be to be like, well, you wouldn't be feeling that way if you had a kid, or that's because you're not doing like your wifely duty or something like that. There are all these like ways to diminish a woman's experience. And so the intellectualization might be a self-defense against that. But that is, I think, a flaw because the first half of the book is so deranged.
Yeah.
And like what we want is that derangement because, believe it or not, the derangement is the thing that's relatable because we've all been deranged in that way. And that sort of female derangement is, again, it's something that's rarely captured. And I love hearing about that because I love hearing that women are like me and
Right.
like I want
And fucked up and messy.
Yeah, I want the world to be a community and I want us to share all this experience and to know that is like every time a weird experience is shared and you can go like, yeah, fuck yeah, that's awesome. Like I'm so glad that you recorded that. Then to go to spend 100 pages going and this is why through various lenses, theoretical lenses or whatever, this is why that is happening to me. I understand the instinct to it. It's a super academic instinct. I have that instinct myself a lot, but it is a self-defensive instinct. And I think self-defensiveness is a bad idea when it comes to art because you should be an open wound.
Do you think that like, I don't know if this is a question you can answer, but do you think that if what we're reading literally was born in the letters that she and Sylvere were writing to Dick, right? Like if we were to believe that like this is sort of autobiographical and epistolary and whatever, and like she is literally publishing the letters they are manically writing to him that she then sends him a copy of or whatever. If we are reading those letters, do you think she got like embarrassed? Like, because I think there's also something that's like, there's really something interesting to me in the middle. I think before the second meeting with Dick, where she's talking, I think it's Charles and Emma, and they have a similar experience. Like, oh yeah, Dick is great.
Charles and Emma Bovary is from Madame Bovary. Those are the characters from Madame Bovary. So I think she's writing herself and Sylvere as Charles and Emma Bovary.
Oh, I didn't get that.
From
okay,
Madame Bovary. Yeah.
Okay, because I thought, that's less embarrassing then. It's more embarrassing than me, but not really. Yeah. But I thought it was like other people that like have been intoxicated by Dick in the same way that they were, and it felt like, oh, well, I'm not alone, and like I feel like a schoolgirl crush or whatever, and like I'm just trying to figure out like if this is like the way, if we are literally reading like what her letters were, and then she gets left by her husband, who she can't really escape because he's in the same circle and they have the same friends and he's also the same party,
like financially responsible for her. She even after he leaves her, he's still giving her money for
like. Does the second half how the second half is because she's embarrassed by the first? I don't like. I'm trying to like rationalize or intellectualize like why it goes off the rails so much. And like why, like, does she want to make herself seem so smart in the second half because the first half I don't know.
Well, there's also a like something that's way more interesting to me is if this is totally fictional.
Yeah.
If she was just like, I'm just writing a novel and none of this, who's Dick? This is not a real person. I'm just writing about what this would be like if a person that I'm naming Chris Kraus, the same way that Philip Roth names characters Philip Roth.
Well, then that makes the first half more interesting. It makes the second half even more frustrating.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Like it's rare to have a book, in my opinion, like so like it's not like the first half of the book was like one of my favorite things that we've read, but like I would have really enjoyed it. Like said, I really like not love this book, but like I would have like been really into because like it's weird and it's like dark and sort of deranged and like unexpected.
And when you asked if I think that she's embarrassed, it's like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like part of what's compelling about it is like something that's compelling is someone doing something deranged and then being like, this is really embarrassing, but I am going to publish it.
But there's also something that's like really like sad and like where you're doing a thing with somebody and like you two are at it together.
Yeah.
And at a certain point they're like, I think you've gone a little bit too far here. And then they like bow out. You're like, oh no, I'm going to keep going. It's just like that. There's like a weird like divide there. But then instead of like, she goes a little bit further, but then like so hard pivots when he's out of the scene, out of the picture. So I don't know.
Yeah. Are you team Dick or team Chris and Sylvere?
Team Dick.
Yeah. We should get shirts like how people used to have shirts that said like team Jacob or team Edward.
Yeah. Team
Dick.
I mean, I think that the name I Love Dick is a great name for a book and for a TV series. Like there's.
Yeah.
But I just really, I'm going to look up right now. I don't want to watch the first episode. I also was saying to you that like.
It's on Amazon.
I believe it was a Joey Soloway original.
Right. For Amazon?
I believe so.
Okay.
2016. Kevin Bacon as Dick. Catherine Hahn as Chris. Griffin Dunn as Sylvere.
Griffin Dunn type.
In a Texas town.
Interesting twist already.
A woman becomes obsessed with one of her husband's companions and creates an art project inspired by him, a series of letters beginning, Dear Dick. And then a longer version is, adapted from the lauded feminist novel, I Love Dick, is set in a colorful academic community in Marfa, Texas. It's the story of a struggling married couple and their obsession with a charismatic professor called Dick, told in Rashomon-style POV shifts, which I guess would make sense for TV. I Love Dick charts the unraveling of a marriage, the awakening of an artist, and the deification of a reluctant messiah.
All right.
I did not expect that third thing to end there.
Deification of a reluctant messiah. Kevin Bacon, our Lord and Savior. Footloose. Footloose.
I mean, they're all, like, the episodes are largely between 21 and 25 minutes. There's a couple that are 30, but, like, it's,
I'm going to watch it.
It's 8 episodes. It's, like, under 4 hours.
I'm going to watch it and get back to you. Ask me when we do From Hell, ask me about watching
Well,
this.
we'll do Poisonwood next, so... Our next book is the Poisonwood Bible.
Yeah, so give me, but I'm saying I might not finish an entire series between.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So
we also might record that one after. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Sometime this season, you will give a review of the TV series I Love Dick.
Because I watch TV a little slower than most people.
You savor it.
Yeah, I don't binge watch anything.
I try not to either. Did you like the first half as much as I did, or not really?
I don't know about as much as you did, but I thought it was, it's compelling. But I think it goes. Not to be a broken record, I think it goes off the rails when she over-intellectualizes the idea of something that is visceral. And then you don't feel that there's a dead stop to the emotional life of the book once she gets into theory and things like that.
I think also, like, I'm trying to put myself in the perspective of, like, a woman in 1997, or just, like, because it felt like, not to just compare that because they're female authors, but like Notes of a Crocodile felt like revolutionary because it feels like different country, lesbian story, feels like this is like a thing that nobody's told. Yeah. And for this to be like this like feminist text, this like landmark of whatever, I'm just like, I just don't, again, like I don't have the historical education or the context or whatever, but it feels like maybe we were just so, or they were so, or people, culture was so starved for like whatever this was, but it feels like I can see Nose of a Crocodile as like this, like what it means, like why it's important. This, I just don't get.
Well, I think I mean, I think part of it is, similar to something like Erica Jong's Fear of Flying. What you get is a book about female desire, and anytime that a woman is sort of laying bare those feelings, especially in a context that's presented as nonfiction, using the actual name of the actual author, and is stating such obsessive details about her own sexual fantasies and sexual life, I think people want allowed that because it is very, it's a brave thing to do. So to speak honestly about female sexuality, especially female sexuality of a woman that is a like adult woman who's almost 40, instead of the sexuality of a 19-year-old or whatever. The idea that like there's a sexual reawakening well into this marriage, and those sexual thoughts are directed at a man outside of the marriage, and it's a non-traditional marriage. It sort of is opening up a lot of doors about what the adult sexual life of a woman can be, and what the adult sexual mind of a woman is, in ways that are not often depicted by fucking Grey's Anatomy or whatever. Not that Grey's Anatomy was around at the time, but you know what I mean? Like pop culture, whatever pop culture thing exists. Because
Friends.
Because the way that Friends exists is like, not to speak ill of Friends, which is a perfectly fine show, but that's like, Rachel Green has very typical desires that exist inside the upper middle class socialite circle of New York City in the 1990s. And she would never be Polly or something like that.
Right. And that's what I think I'm trying to, like, keeping in mind, this is again 28 years ago that this novel's published. There's so much has changed.
A really weird thing about it was when I was reading it, I kept thinking that it was a book from the 80s. It felt older than it was. I think maybe because so much has changed, and 1997 is not that long ago, but the social advancement of different like sexual lifestyles, and the sort of embracing of female sexuality, at least in the circles and the intellectual things that I consume. Like, I know that like the world is fucking terrible and women are still treated like trash and blah, 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 blah. Like, I didn't say blah, 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 blah to be dismissive of that. That's all of that is definitely true.
Right.
But I'm saying that like these ideas are out there now in a way that they certainly weren't in 1997.
Right.
Outside of a select group of people.
I also think that like what we are doing, and I did not intend this to be, but like the 1997 facts I'm finding, like it is remarkable how quickly like it, you know, like a few years ago, like dial-up was a thing, or you know what I mean? Like the internet basically launches or whatever the things were, and now it's like Google's existing, Netflix, like it's just like the formation of the modern web is like rapidly coming. And I think when you're saying like it feels like an 80s book, it's like because they're writing him letters and leaving him voice, like answering machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it feels like the 90s feel like it's stuck between the technology of the 80s and the technology of the 2000s.
And if you're a 40-year-old in 1997, then your technology is going to be stuck on the side of the 80s.
Right.
Like if Chris Kraus were a 21-year-old writing this book, she'd be sending emails probably.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Which would have been a different thing, but also could have been interesting.
Yeah.
We have an email address, lottery@cageclub.me. The egg wrote in Meg's reaction to I Love Dick. I am surprised at how much I ended up liking this book.
I didn't talk with her about this book even 1 second.
Did you think that she was going to like this, though?
No idea. Yeah, I guess so.
Kraus does a great job of showing how smart she is by the end of the novel.
Meg, we are at a crossroads.
This book actually reminded me a lot of Danielle Cholowski's work. I wish that I had more time to write about this because this book is worth writing about, but I don't have it in me. Not a novel I would have picked up on my own, but I'm glad that I read.
Well, I don't disagree with Meg. I think Chris Kraus is really, really goddamn smart. I think that's evident by the end of the book. I think she says a bunch of really, really smart things. That's not a debate, but I think those smart things undermine the instinctual aspects of obsession.
Yeah. I love that like sometimes we are so in line with Egg, and then sometimes she just like, I hated this book after we like gush about it for 45 minutes, or like we're like, this didn't work, and she's just like, this is one of my favorite. And just
what was one that she loved that we hated, or some one that she hated that we loved?
I don't remember. I'm sure it has.
Happened, yeah.
All right, so I promised this last episode we have YouTube comments on books that are good. It's so funny to me that like the comments on the Too Fast Too Forever videos are just like guys in their 60s being like, this isn't the movie, shut up, stop talking, whatever. And here it's people like actually leaving thoughtful comments. So we have one on the Beth Morgan interview. Obsessed with this book, currently on my third read through, great episode.
Also, like, can't be said enough. Love Beth. Whenever Beth has another book out, we'll do that book as well. Because we really do love Beth.
On The Malady of Death by Marguerite Duras, somebody just gives a thumbs up. So it's like, cool.
That was one that I did. When we finished that episode, I remember not feeling that great about it because I think that I just didn't have that much to say about that book.
Some of them are tough.
Yeah.
On the Memory by Donald E. Westlake episode.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about this one. This is one that neither of us really liked all that much.
No.
Did they leave a voicemail?
No. Okay. So someone a year ago said, thanks for the podcast, guys. We read this a while ago. I enjoyed your thoughts. I think the book had a lot of potential, but why the hell did it end the way it did? All build up with the fluff and sell some of the fluff that didn't turn out as the message of the story. I guess it's better to wait and mull it over, but generally was disappointed. So that was like a year ago. So then somebody says, similar to the comment above, I had to find a video on YouTube regarding this book to leave my comment, but yeah, what the WTH is up with that ending? The book really seemed to build on the whole metal square object, making it seem far more important to the story, like it had a clue or hidden meaning behind his condition, but it was a major letdown. I really felt the story was just coming to a crashing halt at the end for no apparent reason. Overall, not a bad noir novel, very entertaining.
I think that person didn't listen to anything that we said about it. I think they just, like they said, they just went looking for something to comment on.
Look, if we exist as a space on the internet for people to like go see the actor and like then read the book and be like, no one has read this book.
I love that.
No one is talking about this book. Oh, there's a video about this book. I'm not going to listen to the video.
Fine.
Someone says on the Wittgenstein's Mistress episode.
This is one that people were mad at us for that we fucked up on.
Great discussion.
All right.
One of those books you finish and immediately crave discussion of, and there was surprisingly little about this anywhere. Thanks for the upload.
Cool. All right.
On the raw shark text, 2 comments.
Oh, this is our
that's our white whale. Like this is our
like people keep coming back because it's a puzzle book and people really like want to engage on the internet with it as a puzzle book.
So this guy comments on the raw shark text and then also on the Stephen Hall interview. So there's one on each.
Cool.
On the book, he says, trying to devour everything about the book, found your podcast, now I'm a fan. And then he says, this is my favorite book. I can't stop living in this world. Would love to talk to anyone about it. The read's kind of slow, to say the least, but Stephen Hall did do an AMA there about a year ago. I can't describe how this book has influenced my writing and even worldview, LOL. Also found this podcast now, found them because nobody was talking about them, wink, wink.
I love that. All right, dude. That's great because also we love Stephen. Stephen was so nice.
It's very cool.
He's such a nice guy. And
everybody we've talked to except for maybe 2 people have been really nice.
and one person, again, not naming names, like would not let us talk at all. Just talk the entire time.
That's one of the 2 I'm thinking of.
I kind of love that though.
And the other one just seemed like I will say she didn't know why she was there, really.
Yeah, didn't like us very much.
You could have said no.
Yeah, could have said no.
You know.
Could have said no.
The next book is The Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver, which I read the synopsis of and feels depressing, heavy.
Yeah, Kingsolver is doing the work. She's a great writer, and her...
Have you read this one before or no?
No. I've read a couple of her other books, though.
Okay. And then we're going to end with From Hell by Alan Moore. Anything else to say in this 1997 book episode?
And yet.
Keep reading.
Today's crime is going into the dressing room of Target and putting clothes on underneath your clothes.
And then walking out?
And then walking out.
Ooh.
Classic.